Hey there, Twisters, and welcome to my top 15 breakout wingers for this upcoming 2022-23 NHL season. So the way that this works, we got 15 players, just one per team. Want to make sure we represent the league as best as we can here. No rookies, because a breakout season implies that this player has at least been in the league for a little while. Comment down below with your breakout wingers for this upcoming season. There are so many names that I left off of this list. And be sure, if you haven't already, watch my top 10 breakout centers video, my top 10 breakout defensemen video, and I'm also going to make one kind of like this for goaltenders as well. So let's get started with number one on my list, and from the New York Rangers, I've chosen Alexis Lafreniere. So this past season, he played 79 games, he had 19 goals and 12 assists for 31 points, about 14 minutes of time on ice. I expect that to increase quite a bit. I really liked what I saw from him in the playoffs. He had 2 goals and 7 assists for 9 points in 20 games. Again, in a more reduced role, but I expect him to get a lot more opportunity, especially since the Rangers have lost a few forwards, including Andrew Kopp, Ryan Strome, and Frank Vatrano. So Laf, I imagine he's going to be more in the realm, maybe 55 or 60 points this upcoming season. Second on my list, and you saw from the thumbnail there, we have Caufield of the Montreal Canadiens. So this past season, 67 games, 23 goals, and 20 assists for 43 points. 1641 is his average time on ice. But once Martin St. Louis took over, that's when Caufield and his teammate Nick Suzuki took over. So 37 games under St. Louis, he had 22 of his 23 goals. He had 13 assists for 35 points, so basically a point per game player. 19.3 shot percentage, so definitely got some quality looks out there with Suzuki. And it certainly will be interesting to see who Caufield and Suzuki play with on the top line for Montreal this upcoming season, but chances are it could be Juraj Slafkovsky, the first overall draft pick from this year. Third on my list is Seth Jarvis from the Carolina Hurricanes, and it's especially important for him to take a step forward now that Max Pacioretty is out for most of this upcoming season. So Jarvis, last year in 68 games, 17 goals, 23 assists for 40 points, under 14 minutes of time on ice, but again, I expect that to go way up this upcoming season. He played in all 14 playoff games, contributing 3 goals, 5 assists, throwing 38 hits, and he forced 10 takeaways as well. Really like the chemistry he's established with Sebastian Aho, and we'll imagine Andrei Svechnikov probably sliding back into that top line there. He'll need to hopefully cash in a little bit more on the power play and get some more opportunity as well, especially with Pacioretty out. Fourth on my list is Arthur Kaliyev of the LA Kings. This past season, in 80 games, he had 14 goals, 6 of which were on the power play, 13 assists for 27 points, and he did this with just over 12 and a half minutes of time on ice per game. Now, it's going to be interesting to see where Kaliyev fits in the lineup this upcoming season. He could possibly compete for a second line spot if they want to demote Trevor Moore down to the third line, but if Kaliyev is on the third line, he could still flourish out there, especially if Quinton Byfield can take a step forward in his young career. Fifth on my list is Matt Boldy of the Minnesota Wild. Now, last season he played with Kevin Fiala quite a bit, but of course Fiala is now with the Kings. But that said, there are promising signs that Boldy will be a pretty darn good player in his first full season. He only played 47 games this past year, registering 15 goals, 24 assists for 39 points, and finishing 8th for the Calder. So one thing that really caught my eye was this article here from Zone Coverage. They cover all Twin Cities sports, and it's run by my guy Tom Schreier, Santa Clara alum. So the article states just how impressive was he, Boldy, for his age group. Since 2007-08, only 18 players have averaged more than 3 points per 60 minutes in all situations at age 20. Boldy ranks 11th among this elite group with 3.24 points per hour. The names ahead of him are no joke either. We're talking Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Taylor Hall, Jack Hughes, Matthew Barzal, Austin Matthews, Patrick Kane, the list goes on. So with Boldy, it'll be interesting to see if he can do this with either Marco Rossi as his center, or if he plays with Frederick Gaudreau like he did last year. Who knows, maybe they would actually break up the Joel Eriksson-Ek line. He's a fantastic player in his own right. I'd like to see Matt Boldy get a chance with him. But anyway, I think that the future looks really bright for this young winger. The next player on my list is from the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I've chosen Alexandre Texier. It could have been Yegor Chinakhov, but I've chosen Texier because he's been in the league a little bit longer and hasn't played a full season this past year in 36 games. 11 goals, 9 assists for 20 points, about 14 and a half minutes per game. And he actually had a finger fracture late in January and then took a leave of absence from the team. But as Jarmo Kekalainen, the general manager, had said, that Texier was actually maybe their best forward up until that point. So I think that he's due for a career season ahead. You certainly consider how Kent Johnson, Cole Sillinger have entered the fold here for the Blue Jackets, and so somebody like Texier could play full-time at the wing, although he can play center. But yeah, I think that he's going to be a great middle six forward for this team in the next couple of seasons. Now, wingers 7 and 8 on my list are certainly in make or break seasons, and I'm sure that a couple of you can guess which guys I'm talking about. First of all, from the New York Islanders, it's Oliver Wahlstrom. Of course, we could talk about Kiefer Bellows as well, but the pressure is on Wahlstrom to really determine if he's a fit long-term for the New York Islanders. He was the 11th overall draft pick in 2018 and is going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the season. So this past year, he played 73 games, 13 goals, 11 assists for 24 points, averaging just over 12 minutes of time on ice, and lots of articles have been published regarding his relationship with Trotz and getting benched and that sort of thing. So hopefully there's a little bit of a change of scenery with Lane Lambert coming in as head coach, and hopefully if they can bring in Nazem Kadri, that's going to open up the possibilities as to who Oliver Wahlstrom could play with and how compatible he and his centerman will be for the upcoming season. And 8th on my list is Filip Zadina of the Detroit Red Wings, although Lucas Raymond, who was a Calder finalist this upcoming season, might actually take his game to a new level as well. So with Filip Zadina, he is also kind of seen a reduced role with his club. This past season, 74 games, 10 goals, 14 assists for 24 points, just a shot percentage of 6.5%, so he was a little bit snake bit, but hopefully he has a chance to break out this upcoming season. The thing is with the Red Wings, they're pretty set in the top 6, so you look at that third line, you've got at center Pia Suter, who is pretty underrated, and you also have Dominik Kubalik, who is from Czechia, just like Zadina is, so maybe there's a chance for them to gel and generate some good offense in that sort of role. So look to that, and you also look to Derek Lalonde, the new head coach for the Red Wings, and his coaching staff, and they're going to be tasked with helping some of those young players like Zadina, like Lucas Raymond, and Mo Seider elevate their game to the next level. My next winger comes from the Nashville Predators, and I had so many to choose from. It could have been Trennan, it could have been Tomasino, it could have been Tolvanen, but I ultimately went with Tanner Jeannot, that is. So great rookie season this last year, 24 goals and 17 assists in 80 games, so that's 41 points. Blocked 64 shots, that's a lot for a rookie winger, and threw 318 hits. I really like watching this guy just throw his weight around, park himself in front of the net. Hopefully he can have a role on the power play by doing something like that. His possession metrics 5-on-5 were actually pretty goddarn good. So I'm looking for him to take that next step and really emerge as a young star in the NHL. He's into a contract year this upcoming season as well. And so the Predators have a lot of players to look forward to who aren't necessarily on the top line, and Jeannot is at the forefront of that. My next center is from the Vancouver Canucks, and maybe I could have chosen Ilya Mikheyev, but this time I went with Vasili Podkolzin. So this past season was his first full year. He played in 79 games. He had 14 goals, 12 assists for 26 points, a little bit under 13 minutes of time on ice per game. I think one thing that kind of elevates his chances of breaking out this next year is the Canucks' depth at center. So in one depth chart I saw from Cap Friendly, even though it's been updated, so they had Miller at the first center, Pettersson at the second center, and then Horvat at the third center. So some of you out there might want to see them actually deploy this, and if that's the case, I could really see Podkolzin thriving from that quite a bit. 11th on my list is Isac Lundeström of the Anaheim Ducks. Now he can play wing or he can play center, but with the Ducks, they have a few different guys who can play either center or wing, and what I would do here is I would actually elevate Lundeström to a third line wing with Mason McTavish out there as well, and Lundestrom could still take the draws, but this guy is solid in all three zones. This past year, he had 80 games under his belt, 16 goals, 13 assists for 29 points, about 15 and a half time on ice per game, 55 blocked shots, really good possession metrics as well. So when you have somebody like Mason McTavish, who scored 4 goals last night in a World Juniors game, and then you pair him with somebody who's very sound in all three zones, then you have a good balanced third line for the Anaheim Ducks. 12th on my list is from the Colorado Avalanche, and I've chosen Logan O'Connor. Some of you out there know I love Logan O'Connor. The intensity that he plays with, the drive that he plays with, and as a right-handed shot, he kind of does have a little bit of Nathan McKinnon to him, a little bit of an Alex Tuck. So watch this guy this upcoming season. I could see him in a lock for that third line role alongside Alex Newhook, who I talked about in my center video. And so this past season, O'Connor in 81 games had 8 goals, 16 assists for 24 points, under 14 minutes of time on ice, 59 blocked shots, 38 takeaways to 17 giveaways. That is an absolutely terrific number you want to see there from a guy who at 26 years old is about to approach the prime of his career. And despite being undrafted, again, this guy I think plays with as much intensity as you would want in all three zones. And so you pair O'Connor with a former first-round draft pick in Newhook, and I think that these guys could really click out there with a little bit more ice time. Maybe Logan O'Connor could be around a 40-point producer on a third line for the Avs. 13th on my list is from the Philadelphia Flyers, and I've selected Owen Tippett. Now, this guy is a former first-round pick, and he didn't pan out in Arizona. He goes to Philadelphia. Not the greatest numbers there as well. This past season, he had 63 games, 12 goals, 11 assists for 23 points. But really, I think that the Flyers need to figure out if he's going to be part of their core for the foreseeable future. And with that being said, I think that he at least gets a lock on a third line to start this upcoming season. Maybe even slides into the top 6 for a team that I don't think is going to be anywhere near a playoff spot. So the Flyers will be doing themselves some service if they can actually give this guy opportunity to just see what his ceiling could potentially be. 14th on my list is from my favorite team, the San Jose Sharks. I've selected Noah Gregor. Now, Gregor was incredibly snake-bit this past season. He had 23 points, 8 goals, 15 assists in 63 games. Really solid all-around game, but when I think about Noah Gregor, I think about all the plays that he drove and just how the Sharks weren't able to capitalize on those opportunities. Pair him with somebody like Thomas Bordeleau on a third line, and that could certainly pay dividends for Noah Gregor. So I think that things could look potentially very promising for him. I think last year was just a little bit of bad puck luck. This guy, who knows? He could actually have 15 goal upside on a third line for the San Jose Sharks. But even so, they're getting great value from the 111th overall pick in 2016. And last on my list, I am kind of cheating with this one because he did kind of break out this past season. It's Ross Colton of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So with not even 13 minutes of time on ice this past season, he put up 22 goals and 17 assists for 39 points. But one huge reason why I've put Colton at this spot is because the Lightning did lose Andre Palat to free agency. You also have to consider to a lesser extent that Alex Killorn didn't score a single goal in the playoffs despite a really good regular season. So I think there will be a little bit of competition in the top 6. I know Brandon Hagel in the depth chart is currently slated at that top spot, but I think that Colton could actually give him a run for his money with that intensity that he has and a great finishing touch for this past season as well. Anyway, those are my top 15 breakout wingers for this upcoming NHL season. Who are yours? Who did I miss? Sound off down in the comments down below and stick around for more banger content like this throughout the NHL offseason. So ding that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and hit the notification bell. That way you know when I upload videos like this. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Nick. I'll catch you twisters later. Ciao.